Today we are going to be looking at two works from the Renaissance and Baroque era that demonstrate a change in artistic tradition based on faith. Currently we are in the Sistine Chapel surrounded by Michelangelo's frescoes. We are looking specifically at his fresco of the Last Judgment. Now, the Last Judgment was painted during the height of the Protestant Reformation, which is why some argue that it is significantly different than some of the frescoes painted on the Sistine Chapel ceiling. The Reformation was a time of political and religious turmoil. It caused a split in the Christian faith that divided Roman Catholics and Protestants. Protestants launched an iconoclastic movement that attacked artistic depictions of holy figures and religious scenes. The movement, which was led by Martin Luther, led to a decline in religious subject matter in art. Art in the High Renaissance had a sense of perfection that, with the rise of the Reformation, artists felt could no longer accurately reflect the state of the world. Therefore, in the High Renaissance, and pieces like The Last Judgment especially, we can see this entrance of mannerist distortions that artists believe to be more appropriate during such a chaotic time. In the religious scenes of The Last Judgment, we can see how Michelangelo is attempting to emphasize the humanity of the figures rather than their religious importance. He did this with excessive nudity by not showing Christ seated or bearded, and even including the pagan figure of Charon. And The Last Judgment really is the epitome of this deviation from other High Renaissance religious depictions, even the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, which shows this sort of harmony and perfection. So this really reflects the disunity that we're seeing within Christianity during the time of the Reformation. So we are now in San Luigi dei Franceschi in Rome, standing before the Calling of St. Matthew by Caravaggio. Now this is a Baroque piece that beautifully tells the story of when Matthew was called away from his avaricious lifestyle as a tax collector to follow Christ. But as you can tell at first glance, this does not look like a religious painting. The figures are dressed in modern clothing, and there is very little symbolism seen. Now this was painted during the Reformation, and Caravaggio draws inspiration from his own world, placing this biblical scene in modern reality. And these characters are dressed in the latest Baroque fashions with everyday humanist characteristics. The only real indication that we have of the religious symbolism is a slight halo on Christ's head, who is the figure closest towards the window. Now, if this painting were to have been done in earlier traditions, say before the Reformation, we most likely would have seen Christ centralized, more traditional garments, more divine symbolism, and most importantly, it would have been far easier to tell the true biblical story that was taking place.